In a video that's been making the rounds online, a woman claims she feels unsafe simply because people are putting up British flags. She labels those displaying the flag as racist and far right, and even says it's frightening for her to walk home because of them. Now, people are entitled to their feelings, but let's be real. This reaction seems more like a projection than a genuine threat. The British flag isn't a symbol of hate or extremism by default. It's the national flag, one that represents the country's history, its culture, and for many, a deep sense of identity. To suggest that simply flying it is racist is not only unfair, it's also incredibly divisive. Ironically, while she says she's scared of the so-called far right, I think her fears might be pointed in the wrong direction. If safety is really the concern, then perhaps we should be honest about what or who is actually making communities feel unsafe. In many cases, the most pressing issues don't come from flag-waving patriots, but from people who have no interest in integrating or respecting the country they've chosen to live in. It's worrying when national pride is seen as dangerous, while the real problems are ignored for fear of being called politically incorrect. We should be able to fly our flag without being branded extremists. If anything, we need more unity, not more finger-pointing. Here's the video so you can judge for yourself.
I think it's time we have a conversation about how the rise of nationalism and patriotism in the UK is actually very scary and very dangerous. If you're not from the UK and you have not lived here, you will not understand how rampant racism is. People view the UK as this like gorgeous, multicultural, blended country, and it is, and I love it. But recent years, it has just been increasing and increasing and increasing. And in case you haven't noticed and you've been living under a rock, the past few weeks, specifically St. George flags, so the English flag and Union Jacks have been springing up everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. Noticed it on my own road like about 2 weeks ago, but it's in every neighbourhood in my area and several areas across London and the rest of the UK. Coming home just now from work, it's nearly 4 a.m. I have seen bunting put all up my street, and the fear I had in my body at seeing that was unreal. Coming home at night by myself as a young black woman, like, astronomical. I couldn't even speak on it. I think we forget as a country that a year ago, give or take a few weeks, people of colour were scared to leave their homes and go to work because of the far-right extremists. They were literally putting blades in the seats of the tube. People of colour were scared to sit down on public transport because they thought they were going to literally bleed. People were getting acid thrown in their faces, spat at people in the street. A man got mobbed out of his fucking car and then it was set alight. What the, like, people act like Britain is this, like, so far cry removed from racism. It's literally so close to the surface, you just choose to fucking ignore it. And now, this rising sentiment of patriotism and nationalism. Yes, great, be patriotic, be proud of where you're from, this, that, and the third. But you don't understand the fear that it comes with being so patriotic and so proud of your country. Like, especially with how closely these flags, specifically the St. George flag, the English flag, has been tied to anti-migrant policies, anti-migrant protests, just anti-migrant rhetoric, this very us versus them mentality. You're either with us and you're proud to be British, or you're not, and therefore you shouldn't be here, is disgusting. And even the Reform UK councils within the UK have been taking down the flags because they know the sentiment behind it. They understand the subliminal messaging and the symbolism behind having those flags posted up on lampposts, literally bunting across the street. The flags mean so much more, specifically the St. George flag. That flag specifically only really comes out when specifically white British people are trying to prove a point about who's British and who is not. That flag has been the poster board for so many far-right groups that back racism and back xenophobia against immigrants, specifically immigrants of colour. But this is like, as a young black person, as a young person of colour in the UK, it's scary. And then you couple this with the increased support for Reform UK because of how anti-migrant they are and pro-economy or whatever the fuck bullshit they're spewing. It's the British regurgitation of the Republican Party, I can't even lie. This country is built off the back of immigrants. Your national dish is butter chicken. Or is it coronation chicken? One of the fucking two. Sorry, I misspoke. The British national dish is in fact chicken tikka masala. Either way, it's not English. There are more Chinese and Indian takeaways than there are fish and chips in this fucking country. This country would die without immigrants. You saw what happened after Brexit and all of our resources were completely depleted, right? So for a country that relies on immigrants so much, to have such a rise in anti-immigrant rhetoric and it being like, what's the word? Like it manifesting through these flags posted up everywhere is worrying and concerning, and it's something a lot more people need to be concerned about.
himself. After watching that, it's clear the issue isn't really about flags. It's about how national pride is being twisted into something sinister. Calling everyone who displays the British flag far right is not only unfair, it's deliberately divisive. Patriotism isn't racism. People should be able to take pride in their country without being labelled as extremists. And when it comes to feeling unsafe, maybe we should start being honest about the real causes of crime and social tension, because they don't come from the people waving a flag. If we can't even display our own national symbol without backlash, what does that say about where we're heading as a country? In other news, Boris Johnson has clarified his position on banning the burqa, insisting he remains firmly against imposing dress codes on adults while defending his right to speak freely about cultural issues. Appearing on GB News, the former Prime Minister was questioned about his controversial 2018 Telegraph column in which he compared niqab-wearing Muslim women to letterboxers. Pressed by host Ben Leo, Johnson stood by his earlier remarks but argued that critics had taken them out of context. That was in the context of an article that actually said that I didn't want to go around banning things, he explained. I'm more on the side of freedom, he continued. I'm against imposing dress codes on adults too much, We're a free country. Hamas doesn't let, women go around with their heads uncovered. We don't want to get into Hamas territory of imposing certain types of clothing. However, Johnson admitted there were certain circumstances where wearing a burqa could cause practical issues. I think where I do have a problem is if somebody came into my constituency office when I was an MP and I had a complete surgery with them and I couldn't see their face at all, it's a bit difficult. And maybe in schools it's a bit difficult, he said. The debate over the burqa resurfaced in British politics earlier this year after Reform UK MP Sarah Pochin urged Sir Keir Starmer to hold a parliamentary debate on the issue during Prime Minister's questions. Her remarks triggered internal conflict within Reform UK, prompting the temporary resignation of Chairman Zia Yusuf before his swift return to Nigel Farage's inner circle 2 days later. The controversy mirrors a similar debate unfolding in Italy, where Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has proposed a nationwide burqa and niqab ban in public spaces, including schools, universities, and offices, to combat what she calls Islamic separatism. Women who violate the proposed law could face fines ranging from £260 to £2,600. Reacting to Meloni's plan, Farage said, "The burqa ban, of course. Now several European countries have it. Several Muslim countries also have it. I think we have to get our definitions of this right. If we're going to ban the burqa, what about other face coverings? This has to not just be about the burqa, it has to be about face coverings in public as a whole." He added that some of the extreme left Antifa protesters that we see are allowed to go out to say very, very, very unpleasant things, urging a broader debate on face coverings in general. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.